Hi guys, Dark Aperture here, and this is a rant video about the 9590. Yeah, I'm going here again. I know everyone disliked it, but some of you people were wrong. It's not an OEM-only thing, first of all, and that's what this whole rant centered about. Not because it's available for the builders, that's a wonderful thing, but the price. So I'm gonna put it straight to you. This is an overclocked A350 from the looks of it. It's the same architecture, just a higher clock speed. And considering this people can get really high clock speeds on the A350, I don't see the point of this. Now, a price would see that'd be okay for the A350, the 9590, sorry. Well, here, first I'll give you my recommended price points, what it should have been. 9370, $250, 9590, $320. Wanna know what they actually are? 9370, $350, 9590, $920. Yeah. $920 for an overclocked A350. It's not really that big an overclock for an A350. It's 4.7 gigahertz base speed, and if you just get like an H100i with an A350, you can achieve this clock speed. And there'll probably be like a 1% performance difference between the two. Now, there's also 220 watt TDP, and here's a problem with that. You know how some people might do quad SLI builds with the 9590. Some AMD fanboys heralding it as the AMD's I said an extreme killer, which doesn't look like it is. AMD's just going insane at the clock speed again, just like Intel did the Pentium 4. We all know how that went. I don't even want to talk about the Pentium 4. Just a bad CPU. Just a bad CPU. Yeah, it was a reliable, stable CPU, but the performance was thin compared to us cheaper AMD CPUs. You think AMD would have learned from 2001 that high clock speeds don't work as well as better architecture? Intel did, so an AMD saw them learn and fell behind because of it. So why are they making those same mistakes, thinking that's how they're gonna make the breakaway, become the performance king? But back to the 220 watt TDP. What if you wanted to pair the 9590 with GTX or GTX 780? But if if the AMD fanboys they'll pick this thing up, they're probably just gonna go with an 89 range 8970, and I don't blame them. The 70 is a bit disappointing and overpriced, so it's definitely going to get outperformed by the 8970, unless AMD really screws up with that. Let's say that 8970 has a 600 watt minimum power consumption. With a Haswell CPU, maybe compare the i5 4670K. That could be comparable. Still very comparable. CPUs don't matter as much as GPUs for gaming. Maybe with that Haswell CPU, that's 64 watt, like 84 or so, 64. I don't know. I'll have to look it up. Pretty sure 84 watt TDP. You'd be able to get the 970 with, say, a 650 watt power supply and still overclock. You seen the point yet? Now you do that system to 9590, probably a minimum of 5% performance difference if you found some way to get Haswell to 4.7 gigahertz, and I congratulate you on that. It will pretty much outperform the 9590. That's probably very likely. Now if that 9590 CPU, you'd have to get like a 800 watt to 850 watt or 750 watt power supply. 750 watts would be the bare minimum, and you wouldn't even be able to overclock with that. And an 850 watt would allow you to overclock even further. Not that you would, but high TDPs, sorry, are not that nice, especially for someone building a quad SOI system. SOI whatever. SOI is what I'll call it. And I think everyone does too. Now, with the new Ivy G, they'll probably have it's rumored that the 4960X and 4970X will have a 100 watt TDP. So, maybe to get a freeway Renny 970 Crossfire setup, if AMD fixes Crossfire, which will take some time. You might be able to use an AX1200i with the Ivy Bridge E system. That'll probably be more powerful in CPU performance anyway. But with the 9590 system, you may have to go up as high as a 1500 watt power supply just because of that higher TDP. God. And if AMD's trying to market this against like the i7 Extreme, they'd have to refine the architecture. The way Intel got their CPUs to be somewhat worth it at their price points is because they had it's because Intel really refined the architecture, made a whole new separate socket, made the CPUs a lot bigger so they can increase their performance significantly. Well, AMD is staying with AM3 Plus. The CPUs are still the same size, which leads me to believe it's just an highly OC'd A350. And I don't even think it's that big an OC for an A350. Now, they'll probably have no stock cooler fit, obviously, but here's another thing. With that Ivy Bridge E system you buy, you could say paired with a Cooler Master Hyper 212 Evo, it would cool just fine. If you try to do it with the 9590 fixed to its 4.7 GHz clock speed, it would probably blow up. You'd need like an H100i, and not everyone has room for an H100i in their case. And maybe people just don't want to deal with high-end liquid cooling in general. Now, AMD fans are sure to disagree, but come on, guys. You could say I'm being paid by Intel. If you look at my ad revenue, $0, 0 cents, so really I'm not being paid at all. So, the 9370, much better. $350, but that's going up against the 4770K, which you'll probably still handily beat it in many tests, thanks to its 4 cores and 8 threads. And even more, like I said, this isn't a 5 GHz processor. It's not a true 5 GHz processor. It's a 5 GHz turbo speed, which, if you don't have the best cooler in the world, it won't be able to go up to because of heat issues. So it'll be normally at the base speed of 4.7 GHz. The 9370 is a base speed of 4.4 GHz and a turbo of 4.7 GHz. God. They better have some new architecture, like AM3 Plus X. They better have new board chips and everything. And they have to make the CPUs larger so they can fit more technology onto there to improve the performance. Otherwise, this isn't even going to come close to a 3820, the 3820, or the 4820K. Thank God it's a K now. Thank God it's overclockable now for the low end. The 4820K will just wreck the 9590 in pretty much every benchmark. And that thing will be like 1/3 the price. That is pretty much all. AMD, I'm disappointed. You almost had Intel down off the performance king's seat on the VM2X6 series. You had them like on a wall. You had off the cliff. You could have knocked them off, but instead you jumped off the cliff yourself, bulldozer. Now you have that chance with Steamroller. Don't just improve the clock speed. Increase the clock speed. Actually design new architecture and do it this time. Don't just jump off the cliff again. Give up. This is your chance, AMD. Hasbro's in the open. Enthusiasts are disappointed. So, do it right. That is all.